It's good. This is your boy Internal Sadist, and I'm gonna talk about the White House, the news blackout, and the riot in Pittsburgh. While I happen to be in Pittsburgh um today. Um, Things I find interesting about it is apparently the protests were very peaceful in Pittsburgh up until apparently the KKK made a bonfire by the PPG Paints Arena, and a white guy set a car on fire. Interesting how that works, right? So apparently the protests were peaceful, and the KKK decided that they wanted to come out in full force and set a bonfire in front of the PPG Paints arenas. If you know anything about where the PPG Paint Arena is situated, it's situated near a black neighborhood known as the Hill District. Um, Needless to say, that after that happened and a car was set on fire by a white guy, a whole entire pandemonium ensued in Pittsburgh for the most part. And now they have rad police out, and the plots are. The neat thing about the riot in Pittsburgh, though, that actually strikes me is that I actually found pretty funny is like the least. It's like the least destruction. It's one of the least destructions that it's like one of the least destructive riots that took place for the most part. There's a lot of like because if you've been to Pittsburgh, there's a lot of flower pots, big ass, giant ass flower pots in Pittsburgh. Well, a lot of those are turned over and thrown all over the place, the garbage cans and shit like that for the most part. And the sad part about that is a lot of the stores are actually boarding up their windows so they won't get broken. So when you see the news come through, you'll think that windows are broken when they're really not broken. They're basically still intact. They're just boarding them up so they can actually protect them from being broken. So when the news roll through and they actually paint it in a negative light, the windows are fine. They're just boarding them up so they won't be broken because nobody want to pay for new windows because PPG glass makes a lot of windows and like they charge a shit ton of money along with Traco and a lot of these other places. Basically, they charge a shit ton of money for windows. So a lot of the businesses are basically protecting their windows and shit like that. So no, they're not. The windows aren't broken. They're just protecting their windows. Um, Riot police are out. They're not wearing gear anymore, but they're out though. They got their helmets on. Some of them got their helmets up basically, so they can actually see because there's no riot basically. But they're like pretty much sitting in the streets and they're pretty much controlling traffic. You really can't leave Pittsburgh. Luckily for me, I have an apartment in Pittsburgh, so I was able to I was like, fuck it. Looks like I'm not making it to where I need to make it to, so I'll just basically do what I need to do basically. Um, so so end result is a riot took place. Very little damage was done. I mean, granted, there was a back door of a store broken into, and people are raiding. As a matter of fact, there's people still raiding stores right now right now as we speak. Um, and the sad part about that, the police aren't even doing anything about that. They're just letting them raid the stores. As long as they don't destroy shit, they're basically letting them raid the stores, which is actually pretty funny. So the police are actually letting people raid the stores, and they're out in full force. They're like, "Fuck it, let them raid the stores." Um, but they're protecting the streets in Pittsburgh from being destroyed for the most part. But the stores, fine, raid them at your own convenience, basically. And the sad part about that, there's a CVS actually being raided right now as we speak. People from all races. It's not just black people. There's like white people, black people, Chinese people. There's a couple Arabs I've seen run out of there. There's a couple Latinos I've seen run out of there too. But like it's one of those things where it's like, hey, if they're going to let you do it, I can't say much about it. But like mainly the destruction is like garbage cans, flower pots, the shit that you normally see to decorate the street for the most part. Your normal everyday shit on each block, basically, like your flower pots, your garbage cans, or just shit like that for the most part. Um, and it's just stuff like that that just blows my mind. A couple signs are broken, maybe. Um, and mainly there were the signs that were they were doing construction on certain streets, so they basically just took those signs and just threw them all over the damn place. And the sad part about that is everybody who were in the riots and who was pillaging and looting were wearing COVID-19 masks because you got to wear your COVID-19 mask when you go into stores. Everybody got one on. Lovely. So it's gonna be interesting identifying all those people who were still looting the store till right now, basically because they're all wearing masks, which is actually pretty funny. Um, so that's the interesting thing that happened in Pittsburgh. So I'm stuck in Pittsburgh until tomorrow, basically. Um, I guess till tomorrow. I'm hoping till tomorrow because I came back to check my mailbox. Um, Another interesting thing that a lot of people miss is the blackout, the news blackout last night because the White House was actually being protested outside of, and the Secret Service basically had to meet the people protesting outside the White House with force, basically some force, not too much, but a decent amount for the most part. So there was a news blackout for that reason. Um, which a lot of people missed, which is sad because a lot of people don't pay attention or paying attention to everything else. But apparently, there was a protest outside of the White House. I don't know how violent it got because again, there was a news blackout and there's only pictures of the protests in the paper. Um, Outside of that, it's been a pretty normal week, normal day after somebody gets unjustly killed by police officers. Basically, it's pretty much a normal day in the neighborhood for the most part around the United States. So it's one of those things. So yeah, everybody be blessed.